What's going on, 49er Faithful, 49er fam, 49er Gang? This is your boy, Niner Gang Podcast, back in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers and the NFL. With that being said, let's get right on into it, man. Thank y'all so much. I want to start off by saying I appreciate everyone, man. Your boy hit that 600 mark. Thank y'all so much for helping me get there, man. We own the 700, and then from 7, we own the 8, so on and so forth. But thank everybody so much for tapping in with your boy, paying attention, hitting that like and subscribe button. I'm going to continue to give you, great content on the NFL every single time. With that being said, let's get right on into it, man. Y'all see the title of the video. So basically, we just talking about week 11 of the NFL. Let's recap what didn't happen, what didn't went right, what went wrong, what's going on just in general, man. So week 11, we started off with the New York Jets versus the New England Patriots. Now, this is a divisional battle, and we all know how divisional battles go. They can be a little bit rough, but with this in this instance, it wasn't too rough. You know what I mean? The Patriots actually are back to form, having Mike Vrabel in the building, along with having Josh McDaniels back. Drake May has been doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? He's throwing the receivers that can't nobody name. He's just out there wheeling and dealing. The Patriots offense looks good. Defense looks good. So things are working out fairly well. I can't even be too mad about it. And with that being said, let's get into the numbers and figures of that game for the Jets and for the Patriots. Let's take a look and see what happened. So Justin Fields has been benched in favor of Tyrod Taylor. And this is the reason why. The man was 15 to 26, 416 yards. Anything that I tell you guys on these platforms, if you're watching me on Twitter, definitely hit the link in the bio. Come over to YouTube. I can see your comments and whatnot when you do. But what I want to say is, when it comes to why Justin Fields is being benched, it's because of things like this. I think there was 1 week the man had 64 yards passing. You're an NFL quarterback. That's unacceptable. I don't care what you do, where you're at, how you do it. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot go out and put up numbers like that and expect to keep your starting job. He had 1 TD, he took 2 sacks, but 116 yards. And then another week, I think you had like 64. Like, this is unacceptable. You just can't do that. And Justin Fields is in danger of becoming I cannot remember the other Ohio State quarterback that did not work out. He played for the Raiders. I think he even played for the Bengals for a little bit, or it was the Raiders and the Browns. I can't remember his name, but his name started with a T too. If y'all out there in the comments, let me know exactly what's going on. But I can't remember his name, but he wound up turning himself into a receiver for a little bit, and then now he's just washed out of the NFL. On the other hand, you go to the other side of the ball. Drake May, 25-34, 281 yards, 1 TD. He only took 1 sack. So while his touchdown numbers were low, his yardage was definitely higher. He doubled up on Justin Fields by far. You take a look at the rushing, 11 carries, 67 yards, 6.1 yards per carry in a TUD. Starting to look like you might want to be a running back, sir. Now, what I am going to state on this, and I'm going to stop right there just for a kind moment and state this. I know what people will say, and I know what the perception of African-American quarterbacks is in the NFL. I understand all of the knocks on them. Here's the thing. This ain't got nothing to do with him being black. This has everything to do with his talent at the position. It doesn't exist. I'm sorry, people. Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. He is all right. And you might, honestly, Justin, you might want to switch to either receiver or running back. And at this point, I'm thinking running back probably is going to be the better spot. They can take you and use you the same way that Pittsburgh used Hines Ward. Not Hines Ward. Jesus Christ, his name escapes me. There's another receiver that they use like that. He was technically Antoine Randall. There his name is. He, every now and then, they use him as a gadget guy to throw the ball. It's not to say that Justin Fields can't throw, but Justin Fields is just not an NFL caliber quarterback. These are just facts, people. when you get benched in several places, you get cut, you get let go. I understand the situation in Chicago wasn't necessarily the best, but at the end of the day, he's had more than enough time to develop into a good quarterback, and it's just not showing. So to me, that tells me that this is just something that you should consider. But I digress. Brees Hall, 14 carries, 58 yards, 4.1 yards a carry. So see, that's the thing. The Jets have a bell cow at running back. They don't need you running the ball, leading the team. That's what I'm talking about. TreVeyon Henderson, 19 carries, 62 yards, 2 TDs. You know what I'm saying? Stephon Diggs, 9 catches, 105 yards. The only person that caught a TD was TreVeyon Henderson for the Patriots. And John Mechie III for the Jets. He had that one lone touchdown, but this is a very basic game. It looks like the Patriots didn't score in the first and then scored every other quarter. And then with the Jets, it was score in the first, nothing in the second, score in the third, nothing in the fourth. So that tells you exactly what happened. When it comes down to it, you come to take a look at the defensive stuff. You got Quincy Williams doing his thing. The only sack was from Jermaine Johnson. We all know he's a safety / DB. And then for them, for the Patriots, Christian Barrymore and Elijah Ponder both had sacks. As far as that's concerned, we had a couple of passes defense here and there. 5 from the Patriots, 4 from the Jets. And then when it came to the kicking, Nick Folk, he really wasn't in any position to get any chances at field goals, but he was 2 for 2 on his extra points. Andy, for the Patriots, I cannot say it's Borregales. Okay, there we go, Borregales. 2 for 3 on his field goals, 3 for 3 on his extra points. That extra field goal would have just put it at 30-14. Just gave him a 16-point win, so it didn't really matter. But at the end of the day, what this will tell you is that, unfortunately, this is the real deal, man. Justin Fields being benched is viable. It's reasonable. And at the end of the day, man, you got to be better. So we move on and we go to the Commanders and the Dolphins. This was a nice little game. I believe they were overseas. Yep, this was the first game in Madrid, Spain. So basically, it looks like this was just a field goal game and 1 touchdown. So you had basically the same. It was literally almost the same exact score, but just that they didn't score in overtime. So, Dolphins get the W. So Washington, they scored in all 3 quarters except for the 4th, and Miami scored in all 3 quarters except for the 3rd. You wind up tied 13-13. They went into OT. Obviously, both people had the ball. Neither one of them scored. And then the Dolphins come down, kick a field goal, easy money, win the game. Marcus Mariota, 20-30, 213 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. He was sacked once. Tua Tagovailoa, 14-20, 171 yards. These are like very low outputs, and you know what I'm saying, I've definitely been on the record saying that I don't think the Dolphins should have gave Tua that kind of money, but they already did, so it's kind of too late. You're locked into it, and people ain't taking certain contracts. That's just what I'm gonna tell you. Doesn't matter how desperate they are, they're not taking a contract for a guy they know is not going to take them to a Super Bowl. Chris Rodriguez Jr., 15 carries, 79 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. 172 yards in total rushing for the Washington Commanders. Not too bad. 169 yards in total for the Miami Dolphins. Devon Achane running wild again, 21 carries, 120 yards. I know his fantasy owners are loving this guy. Then you had Ollie Gordon II. He had 9 carries, 45 yards, and TD. Come down and take a look at the receiving. Not many. It looks like Miami threw to 5 dudes: Julian Hill, Greg Dulcich, which is their tight end, Malik Washington, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane. Debo led the charge for the Commanders, 7 catches, 74 yards, 1 TD. Next up was Zach Ertz, 4 catches, 42 yards. And then you just keep kind of going down the list. You come over here, it looks like there was a fumble by Mike Saint. I'm not even going to say that last name. That last name is ridiculous. But the recovery was from Ethan Bonner of the Miami defense. And then you have, of course, the tackles. The sack was from Jonathan Jones. And then the other sack was Jacob Martin, and that's for Washington. And then when you come over to them, the only sack was by Tyrell Dodson. You had a couple TFLs in there, 5 of them to be exact for the Dolphins, a couple passes defense, 6 tackles for losses for the Washington defense. So it was just a defensive game, and you can tell whenever you win the game 16-13, that tells you more than enough. The interception that was thrown was caught by Jack Jones, so that was great for the Miami defense. Definitely bodes well for them. Riley Patterson, 3 for 3 on his field goals, 1 for 1 on his extra points. Matt Gay was 2 of 4 on his field goals, 1 for 1 on his extra points. And that's the thing. This is where I always say that sometimes field goals matter, sometimes don't. And sometimes kickers missing them is not a big deal. Sometimes it is. This is a big deal because if you just make those 2 field goals, y'all win the game. It's that simple. So that's a little bit frustrating, but hey, the Dolphins keep rolling that. I believe they're on a 2-game win streak right now. So, Dolphins are trying to make something out of nothing and make it look a little bit better. Now, this next game on the docket is going to be the team that the 49ers face next week, which will be the Panthers. We are on Monday Night Football. So basically, that's going to definitely be something that I'll be taking a look into. We can take a look at the box score. Both Carolina scored in every quarter. Atlanta scored in the every quarter except for the third. They wound up going to OT. Obviously, once again, in OT, this wound up being a situation where both teams had the ball. Neither team scored. Panthers got the ball back, took it down, kicked field goal, won the game. So this did definitely go into overtime. So that means it was competitive. But once again, it's the Panthers and the Falcons, and this is a divisional game. Divisional games are always extremely competitive. You always want to keep that in mind. So when you take a look at it, Rico Dowdle, only 19 carries for 45 yards. That's unlike Mr. Dowdle. He was running all over the place for most of the season. But that tells me that they made some adjustments to make sure they could slow him down a little bit. Only 67 yards given up by the Atlanta defense rushing, which is great. 125 yards for the Falcons as a team, 23 carries, 104 yards, 2 TDs from Bijan Robinson. They let him run wild in this game. Michael Penix Jr., 13-16, 175 yards. Then Kirk Cousins came in 6-14, 48 yards. So I'm not sure if Penix got hurt in that game or if, what the situation was, because you shouldn't have 2 quarterbacks throwing in the same game. But then basically when you take a look at it, this guy, Tedator McMillan, 8 catches, 130 yards, 2 TDs. Xavier Leggett, 4 catches, 83 yards, 1 TD. So those are definitely going to be some dudes I'll be looking at when I do my preview show for the Niners versus the Panthers. So you have Drake London, 7 catches, 119 yards for the Falcons, and then everybody else is just pedestrian numbers. Nothing else for anyone. Then you're taking a look at it. The Falcons had a few fumbles. They only lost 1 of them. So that's a good thing. But, hey, you still got to be careful, man. You got to be careful with that rock. It can come out in any way. Somebody can peanut punch that ball out as much as they want to. Then you go ahead and you take a look at the defense, and no sacks by the Carolina Panthers. Couple of tackles for loss, 5 passes defensed. But then when you come over to the Atlanta Falcons, you have 5 sacks by 5 different people. Ronnie Harrison, Caden Ellis, Billy Bowman Jr., LaCale London, James Pierce. All of these dudes had sacks. They had 7 passes defense. So Atlanta's defense was around. They were doing their thing. It just looks like the offense just didn't give them the opportunity to be able to take the game over. When you take a look at the kicking, Ryan Fitzgerald for the Panthers, 3 of 3. He was 100%, 1-1 on his extra points. Then you had the same thing for Zane Gonzalez. Good to see him kicking again, man. Good to see Zane out there doing his thing. He was 100% too. So just a situation where, hey, man, hard-fought game, went to OT. Panthers get the dub. You can't be mad at that. So we'll move on to the next game there. Let's take a look and see what we got here. Oh, come on now. There we go. Next game on the docket was the Bills versus the Bucks. This ended 44-32. Looks like both teams scored in every single quarter. Bills just scored more points. Let's take a look at the numbers and figures here. Baker Mayfield, 16-28, 173 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. He was sacked once, so kind of pedestrian numbers for Baker. He usually throws a lot more than that, and he's usually at least over the 200-yard mark. But then you flip to Josh Allen, 19-30, 317 yards. He had 3 TDs, but he also threw 2 interceptions. So that's definitely a part of it. So what that tells me is the Bucs may not have taken advantage of those interceptions. Or if they did do anything, it was just a field goal. And typically when you have an interception, you want a full-on turnover, meaning like I want points. I want 6 to be able to put 7 on the board. And then for the rushing, 19 carries, 106 yards for Sean Tucker, 2 TDs for the Bucs. For Buffalo, 16 carries, 48 yards for James Cook. There wasn't really a lot of rushing. This was a little bit more of a throwing game. Then you come in, you take a look at it. The 3 TDs went to Tyrell Shavers, James Cook II, and Ty Johnson. For the Buccaneers, you only had Sean Tucker who scored that who got that receiving touchdown. Sterling Shepard and Mecca Ibuka coming in with very pedestrian numbers. So what that tells me is, once again, that Buffalo's Bill defense showed up. Buffalo Bills, they had a fumble by Mecole Hardman. He lost it. It was recovered by Ryan Miller. And then, you flip it around. Baker Mayfield had a fumble. He lost that. That was recovered by Dorian Williams. Then you had another one by recovery by Ty Johnson. You come and take a look at the tackling. Antoine Winfield, 6. Zion McCollum, 6. So Tampa Bay's defense didn't really do anything crazy. No sacks, a couple TFLs, 6 passes defense. Come and take a look at the Buffalo Bills. You only had that 1 sack, and that was from Daquan Jones. But you did have 3 TFLs. You had 6 passes defense. Then you come and take a look at the kicking. McLaughlin was 100%, and so was Matt Prater. So this is just a game where, hey, you got outscored, you got beat. It is what it is. There's not much else you can really do with that. Moving on, we had the Texans versus the Titans in a very tight game. It was 16-13. I do believe this was another Davis Mills game. Don't know when C.J. Stroud will be back, but Davis Mills has been holding it down and getting them dubs while C.J. Stroud is out. It's not to say that C.J. Stroud will lose his job, but what I can say is it's always good to have a good backup, because this is what you want your backups to do. You want your backups to go out there and get these dubs for you while you're not playing. You want them to perform as well as they can. They understand their role. They know they're not starters, and that's what happens. Look at the situation with the 49ers and Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. Mac Jones was balling. He was doing this thing. He lost a few games, but then he won a couple of games too. So that's what you want out of your backup quarterback. You want that confidence. You want that comfort and consistency to know that they're going to be there for you. They're going to show up. They're going to show out, and things are going to work out for them in ways you can't imagine. So then you come in, you take a look at the rushing. Woody Marks, 18 carries, 44 yards. Not much of nothing from either team. 75 yards rushing from the Texans, a total of 58 yards rushing for the Titans. So, both teams' rush defense was stout. Davis Mills was sacked 4 times. Cam Ward was sacked 3 times. So neither one of these O-lines did very much by way of protecting their guys. You come down, take a look at the receiving. Of course, Nico Collins, 9 catches, 92 yards in the TUD. Everybody else were pedestrian numbers. And then the only person that caught a touchdown for the Titans was Van Jefferson. If you're a 49er fan, you remember him from being over with the LA Rams. So you come down, a couple of fumbles here and there. The sacks for the Texans came from Danielle Hunter, Tommy Togiai, and Will Anderson Jr. So, pretty much the usual suspects. 3 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss, 5 passes defense. Not too bad. Then you come in, you take a look at it for the Titans side, and there were 4 sacks in total. You had that half a sack between Arden Key and Jalen Harold, and Key had a sack of his own. Jeffrey Simmons got back there. Cody Barton got back there. He had 8 tackles for a loss and 9 passes defense. Nobody had any interceptions, but the kickers for both teams were 100%. So it's just a matter of, hey, got outscored. Basically, Houston didn't score in the first half, and then they exploded in the second half with their points. And then Tennessee scored in every quarter except for the second quarter. You know what I'm saying? So if they at least kick a field goal in the second quarter or get in the field goal position, that at a bare minimum would have taken them to overtime. But it is what it is. So we're going to look at the next game on the docket here. It was the Bears versus the Vikings, another divisional battle. So when you get the Bears versus the Vikings, it's definitely a good game. It was 19-17, so this was definitely a barn burner. When you take a look at the scoring, Minnesota couldn't score in the second or third quarter, and Chicago took the first quarter off and then said, hey, we're going to score in every other quarter next. So basically, you had, Caleb Williams come out there, 16-32, 193 yards. He didn't throw any touchdowns or interceptions, and he was only sacked twice. Then you go to J.J. McCarthy, 16-32, 150 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. This is bad, people. And the reason that I say this is bad because last year, Sam Darnold was the man. I think he led them to a 14-3 record or something to that effect. You know what I'm saying? He took him to the playoffs. Yes, he turned into a pumpkin in the playoffs and just fell flat on his face. But at the end of the day, what happened was they said, hey, Sam, you can walk. Sam is now over there in Seattle playing, as well as he can for them. And J.J. McCarthy is here, and it ain't looking so good, people. He's not looking like the dude that y'all wanted. You know what I'm saying? He's looking bad. Aaron Jones, 16 carries, 70 yards. Jordan Mason, 6 carries for 45 yards in the TD. You got DeAndre Swift for the Bears, 21 carries, 90 yards. The only rushing touchdown was by Monagai. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not sure. First name is Kyle. And then, of course, for the receiving, the only touchdown pass to a receiver in this game was to Jordan Addison. Nobody else for either team caught anything. Then you have Caleb Williams. He did fumble, and it was recovered by Aaron Jones fumbled too. But Rome Odunze recovered Caleb Williams' fumble, so that's a good thing. Always good to have you guys there to be able to, make those things happen for you. Then you come in, you take a look at it. No sacks by the Bears, 2 sacks by the Vikings. That was from Andrew Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner. You had 10 TFLs. You had 3 passes defense from the Vikings. And you come down, take a look at the kicking. Cairo Santos, 4 out of 5. 1 of 1 on his extra points, so they benched Jake Moody. Will Record, 1 of 1. So Will Record was 100% for the Vikings, but I mean, to be honest with you, the only difference in Cairo Santos making that other field goal would have been pushing it to 22-17. So instead of a 2-point win, it would have been a 5-point win, but that doesn't really mean nothing. The Bears keep rolling, man. They are 7-3, and they are looking good, having a good time hanging out atop the NFC North. It has been a long time since you could say the Bears of all teams have been on top of the NFC North. That is definitely something different. Then you come in, you take a look at the Giants versus the Packers. Packers get to win 27-20. You come in, take a look at it because of the concussion protocol and Mr. Wilson being benched. We had Jameis Winston out there, old famous Jameis, 19-29, 201 yards. He threw an interception and he was sacked twice. Jordan Love, 13-24, 174 yards, 2 TDs. And then you have Malik Willis coming for a little bit, 2 of 2. He threw 1 touchdown. Hey, you come in for a small span of time and garbage time and hit it. Can't be mad at that. No real big rushing. I mean, in total, the Packers had 128 yards. And then in total, the Giants had 142 yards. Big rusher for them, 19 carries, 88 yards on the for Tyrone Tracy. Come in, you take a look at Romeo Doubs. He had 4 catches, 43 for 53 yards. Christian Watson, 4 for 46. He had 2 touchdowns. And then you had the other touchdown to Josh Weil. You come in, you take a look at it. Once again, nothing for the Giants. Then we had 2 fumbles here by the Packers, but they recovered both of them. And then Jameis Winston, he had one, he lost it. You come in, you take a look at the Packers defense, only 2 sacks. Isaiah McDuffie and Micah Parsons were those people that got those. Then you had 2 sacks from Brian Burns. For the Giants, 2 tackles for a loss, which was the 2 sacks. 5 passes defense for the Giants, 5 passes defense for the Green Bay Packers. Coming down, take a look at the kicking. This guy, Lucas Havrisik, was bad. He missed two out of 3 of his extra points. And then, of course, Young Ho, 2 out of 3 on his extra points. Wouldn't have made a difference necessarily for either kicker if any of these kicks were made, because it's just, kind of changing the score just a little bit. But kickers do matter. Next up, we come to the Bengals versus the Steelers. I think this is the Bengals' lowest output of the season with 12 points. Joe Flacco was looking good over there. He was cooking in Cincy for a little bit. He cooled off. This game, Joe Flacco, 23 of 40, 199 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. He took a sack. Mason Rudolph for the Steelers, because I believe Aaron Rodgers has broken his wrist. He broke his wrist. He fractured it. Something's wrong with his wrist. He was 9-15, 116 yards. He had 1 TD. Mason Rudolph came in relief duty, 12-16, 127, and 1 TD. And then you have rushing for Pittsburgh Steelers, Jaylen Warren, 10 carries, 62 yards. Kenneth Gainwell, 9 carries, 24 yards. If you have Kenneth Gainwell on your fantasy squad, you got to drop him. I have him on mine. I got to get rid of him. He ain't been doing nothing for me all damn year. Chase Brown for Cincinnati, 18 carries, 99 yards. And then you come and you look at the receiving. Everything was very pedestrian here. Kenneth Gainwell was actually the leading receiver. He had 7 catches, 81 yards, and 2 TDs. And then T. Higgins, 3 catches, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. You come down, you take a look at it. The only sack for the Bengals was from Myles Murphy. And the only sack for the Steelers was Nick Herbig. 8 passes defense for the Steelers, 3 passes defense for the Cincinnati Bengals. For the Bengals, Evan McPherson was 100% on his field goals, no extra points. And then you have Chris Boswell. He was 100%, 2 of 2 on his field goals, 4 of 4 on his extra points. Bengals get to win. Pittsburgh Steelers get to win 34-12. The Bengals scored in every quarter, just couldn't score enough. Putting up 3, not putting up any points in the second quarter. These are the reasons why teams wind up losing. Bengals are now 3-7. Steelers are 6-4. Moving on to the Chargers versus the Jags. The Jags beat the brakes off the Chargers. 35-6. This is a beatdown of the week. This is a smackdown being laid on that candy ass, as The Rock would say. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags just, they were at home in Duval and took care of business. Jags scored in every single quarter. The Chargers just couldn't get anything going, man. They scored in the first half, couldn't even score in the second half, and they only scored field goals. So this just was not a good game. Did have Justin Herbert starting. That's probably why I lost my fantasy last week, because man was 10 of 18 for 81 yards and an interception, and he was sacked twice. So that don't bode well when you playing fantasy football. I did not anticipate that. Trevor Lawrence, 14 of 53, only 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That's crazy right there. It's definitely crazy. Very, very pedestrian numbers. But then you come over, you look at the rushing. Travis Etienne, 2 TDs. Bayshaw Tootin, 1 TD. So there's where your scoring came from. Even Trevor Lawrence, he ran it in for a touchdown. So when you score 5 touchdowns in the game, you should be winning. Just throwing that out there. So that's not a bad thing. Then you look at the rushing. The rushing just was non-existent for LA. The rush defense for the Jacksonville Jaguars showed up and showed out, shut them down. They only allowed 42 yards in total. So that's pretty good. When you come to the rushing for them, of course, 192 yards as a unit. And that's with 3 different backs. 2 backs both over 70 yards and 2 backs with at least 1 touchdown. I'm just saying, you got to be appreciative of that. I apologize. And then Trevor Lawrence in there, but he had 9 yards. That's why I really count him. I mean, he had a touchdown. He's quarterback. So you have Jacoby Myers, 5 catches, 64 yards. Only touchdown pass caught was by Tim Patrick for the Jags. He only had that 1 TD. No touchdown passes for the LA Chargers. Then when you take a look at it, no sacks for the LA Chargers. Couple TFLs, and 3 passes defense. Then you had 3 sacks by the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have Trayvon Walker and Denny Strigo, they combined for a sack. And then you had Eric Armstead, he gets another sack. And Josh Hines-Allen, he gets a sack as well. Funny that Eric Armstead over there performing his butt off when he over there, but when he was with us, he couldn't do nothing. I don't understand it. 7 passes defense, 5 TFLs. So, Antonio Johnson had the interception. Jonte Jackson had an interception. And then you come and take a look at the kicking. Hey, Cam Little, 5-5 on his extra points. That's all he needed to do. He didn't need to kick no field goals. And then you had Cameron Dicker. Hey, he did his job. He kicked 2 field goals, bro. Y'all didn't get him never in position to kick another field goal, along with the fact that you didn't really put up any points. So this was unfortunately a loss for the Chargers. They are now 7-4, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are 6-4. So we're going to move on here pretty quickly to the next one. Let's see what else we got. Next game on the docket was the battle for NFC West supremacy between the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Rams got that win. They are 8-2. Seahawks are 7-3. And right on their ass is the 49ers at 7-4. So this game was definitely a hard-fought game, a very close game. They only won by 2 points. So if you look at it, LA couldn't score in the second or third quarter. Seattle's defense shut that down, and they was in their house. So you can tell exactly how that worked. But Seattle scored every single quarter. Just the Rams, they just simply were able to score more points. 14 in the first and 7 in the fourth was good enough for 21 points. Things worked out. Sam, oh my gosh. I was just giving him some praise earlier. We're talking about J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings, and now I got to crap on him. Sam freaking Darnold. What were you thinking? 29-44 and 4 interceptions? That ain't nobody's winning a game like that. Not a soul. Now, because of the score, that tells me that the Rams weren't able to really do a lot with those turnovers. But 4 interceptions is unacceptable, Mr. Darnold. You need to be better. Matthew Stafford, only 130 yards passing. Oof, that's a very low output. 15-28, 2 touchdowns. He wasn't sacked. Kyron Williams, 12 carries, 91 yards in the touchdown. So there's your touchdowns. Puka Nacua, 7 catches, 75 yards. Colby Parkinson caught 1 TD, and Devontae Adams caught the other touchdown. Wow. 1 catch on 8 targets for DeMonte. Oof, those are some different numbers. Then you got, of course, the dude that I love, man, Jackson Smith-Njigba, 9 catches, 105 yards. This dude is a superstar. I mean, if he was on a better team, bro, he would definitely be happy to get into the playoffs and make some things move and shake. Love what he does. Fumble there by Puka Nacua, recovered by Drake Thomas for the Seattle Seahawks. Come in and take a look at these. Sorry, y'all. I was up very, very early this morning. Doctor's appointments, things I had to do. 3 TFLs for the Seattle defense, 4 passes defense. And then you come along, you take a look at the Rams, and they didn't have any sacks. They had 8 passes defense, but they had the 4 interceptions. Cameron Kitchens, Darius Williams, and Kobe Durant. Those are the guys who snatched that ball out the air and took it. Then you take a look at the kicking. For LA, it was money every single time. And for Seattle, if Jason Myers makes that kick, they win this game. I'm telling you, kickers matter. There are times when they matter, and this is one of those situations. Because 3 points goes from 19-22. You get the dub. You have that NFC West supremacy. But shout out to the Rams. They are atop the NFC West currently. Hopefully not for long. This next game, I was there physically, in person, at the game. Yes, I was there. 41-22. The smackdown was laid on that candy ass of them Cardinals. Boy, we came out there with our muskets and our little pistols while we was mining for gold. Then we said, let's head a little bit into Arizona and go see what they got out there in the desert, see if they got anything we could take. Maybe got some marble in the mountains here and there and a couple of other things. But hey, what we did? We said, you know what? We'll go bird watching. But while we were bird watching, we decided to take a couple of little pellet guns. Cardinal's a very small bird, very little tiny red bird. So we took a couple of little pellet guns, and every cardinal we saw, we shot at them. Good and bad from this game. Brock Purdy was back. Ricky Pearsall was back. Brock Purdy, 19 to 26, 200 yards, 3 TDs. He was only sacked once. Jacoby Brissett, 47 of 57. 452 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. One by Deommodore Lenoir, the other by Malik Mustafa. But here's the thing. Giving up 452 yards passing is horribly unacceptable. Our pass defense has to be a lot better, and I think that's on Robert Saleh because he loves to run that damn zone defense consistently, and they just find ways to make it happen. Now, I understand that the rush, our defensive line doesn't get a lot of rush lanes, but at the end of the day, even if that's happening as a DB, know your spots, know where a guy is. If he's close to you, stick by him. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. Know and understand your assignments. So we did sack Jacoby Brissett twice. We didn't sack Jacoby Brissett at all. We were close to it a couple of times, but it just never got home. But those 2 interceptions made up for that. Bam Knight had the only rushing touchdown. They only rushed for 36 yards. They ran the ball 14 times. What didn't make sense to me was the 49ers have one of the worst rush defenses in the league, and you didn't try to run on them. You had Amari DiMercado. You had Bam Knight. I don't understand why you didn't just try to run the ball more. And that was a lopsided thing for them. 57 passes to 14 rushes. Horrible. Now, the 49ers, on the other hand, they were balanced out. 26 passes, 25 runs. Christian McCaffrey, 13 carries, 81 yards. 2 touchdowns. Definitely great. And Christian McCaffrey had an amazing catch in this game. He climbed that ladder. And Christian McCaffrey ain't but 6 foot tall. He climbed the ladder, caught that ball, brought it down, and was tackled while he was going down. Still made the catch, held the ball all the way through. Definitely a great catch. And then you go over to the receiving. George Kittle, 6 catches, 67 yards, 2 TDs. Christian McCaffrey, 5 catches, 40 yards, and 1 touchdown. So that's McCaffrey over 100 yards again, given 3 touchdowns. So fantasy owners, if you got Christian McCaffrey, you are a happy camper. That man has been doing it from yards from scrimmage and scoring touchdowns just about every time he plays. For the Arizona Cardinals, Michael Wilson and Trey McBride. I said this in my preview show for the game that Michael Wilson and Trey McBride were going to be the guys that we had to stop. Michael Wilson destroyed us, 15 catches, 185 yards. That man averaged 12 yards a catch. Trey McBride, 10 catches, 115 yards, 11.5 yards a catch. You see what I'm saying? Because those two were the dudes they were doing. Of course, they had a little bit of everybody get involved. Greg Dortch, 6 catches, 66 yards. He had that 1 TD. I believe both of those touchdowns were toward the end. We kept the Cardinals scoreless in the third. And then basically we just kept scoring every single quarter. And we did it from jump. The game started with a Sky Moore, now almost 99-yard return. Almost got the touchdown, but he just ran out of gas at the end. And then, of course, we had the fumble that was forced by, I believe, Upton Stout. And Keon White recovered that. He's been looking good for us. Since coming over from the Patriots, once again, no sacks. We had 3 TFLs, 4 passes defense, 2 interceptions. For the Cardinals, they had that 1 sack, which was Josh Sweat. That wasn't really a sack. That was basically a gimme because Brock Purdy realized it was a busted play. It just slid down. The play just did not work out. And when he realized what was going on, he's like, never mind. Just going to get down. I ain't about to get hit. And then you have 4 passes defense by the Cardinals. 3 TFLs by them as well. And then you come over, you take a look at the kicking. Eddie Pinheiro was 3 of 3 on his field goals, but he was only 2 of 4 on his extra points. And we've now lost him because he has I think he either has a high ankle sprain or a hamstring injury, and the 49ers just can't avoid any type of injuries. This just is what it is. There's nothing we can really do. So we have for them, it was Chad Ryland. He missed himself a field goal, which I initially thought went was good. But because I was sitting in the middle of the field, I couldn't have the proper angle to look at it to see that it was missed. But he did miss that field goal. Even if he makes that field goal, it doesn't make a difference, man. We put the smack down on their candy ass, 41-22. This is definitely a beautiful beatdown. It's nice to go out there, take a little pellet gun, and look up in the trees, find a little cardinal, and go pew pew, and make life easier. The Cardinals usually give us a very big fight. They do not go away easily. We lucked out in this one. So now, currently, as it stands, we are 4-1 in division. The last divisional game that we play is versus the Seahawks. And if we can get that one, we'll be 5-1 in the division, which is a good thing. The only other game that we lost was us getting our smack laid down on us by the Rams last week. So definitely a good thing. 49ers get the dub and a nice little beat down of the week. And then we'll come over, we'll take a look at the Browns versus the Ravens. So Browns lose this game 23-16. Ravens scored in every quarter except for the third, and the Browns scored in the first half and didn't score in the second half. And Lamar Jackson came in. He was 14-25, 193 yards, no TDs, 2 interceptions. Then you got Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 103 yards, 1 TD. Mark Andrews, 1 carry for 35 yards and a tutty. That's okay. All right, that worked out for them. But then you come in, you take a look at the receiving. Very pedestrian numbers for the Baltimore Ravens. 3 catches, 78 yards for Zay Flowers. Mark Andrews, 3 for 32. Nothing really too crazy. So there were a couple of fumbles in this game. One by the Ravens and then one by the Browns. Then you got the sack from Kyle Hamilton. Sack from Keon Martin, another sack from Kyle Van Noy. So that's 3 sacks in total for the Ravens defense. They had the interception from Nate Wiggins. And then, of course, when you take a look at the kicking, Tyler Luke was spot on, 100%. You come in, you take a look at Cleveland, Dylan Gabriel, 7-10, 68 yards. He went down. And then in the second half, Shedeur Sanders made his debut. We'll talk a lot more about Shedeur Sanders in just a second. 4-16, 47 yards, 1 interception. He did take 2 sacks. Quinshon Judkins, 17 carries, 59 yards. And then after that, there's nobody else even worth mentioning. Shedeur had 3 carries for 16 yards. You take a look at it, Cedric Tillman, 3 catches, 52 yards. Harold Fannin, 2 for 26. Jerry Jeudy, 3 for 21. Shedeur Sanders had the fumble and it was lost. Then you have for the Browns, the sack machine that is named Myles Garrett, 4 sacks in this game. The dude is unstoppable. Like I know we have to play the Cleveland Browns, man, and I can tell you right now, man, we're gonna have to have some help over there. Colton McKivitz is about to get worked. Colton McKivitz is going to get worked. So we better have somebody chipping. I think we need to have Luke Farrell and/or Jake Tonjes as an extra lineman at all times to help him with Myles Garrett because he murders offensive linemen. That's just what he does. He lives for it. I think when he goes to sleep, instead of seeing sheep to go to sleep, he just watches quarterbacks and he thinks that he's sacking them. That it's insane, man. 5 sacks on the day, 4 of them coming from Myles Garrett just himself. This is insane. 10 tackles for a loss, 3 passes defense. Cleveland did have an interception, but Devin Bush, Nate Wiggins caught an interception too. Andre Schmites, should I say, he was 100%. Like I said, Tyler Luke was 100%. So in this game, we did see the debut of Shedeur Sanders. And I want to talk about this just for a little bit because this is an indictment on Kevin Stefanski. The sheer stupidity, the sheer and utter ridiculousness of the Cleveland franchise for years has been their front office, has been their GM, has been, ownership, all of that, because they haven't really done much in a very, very long time. I think the last time they went to the playoffs, Derek Anderson was their starting quarterback. And I don't even remember how long ago. I think it was a little over 20 years. But all offseason, there was negative talk about Shedeur Sanders, just consistent negativity. We understand what Shedeur brings. We understand the lore that he brings. Everyone understands that. But at the end of the day, you just can't do this kid greasy like that. You don't want to give him reps. You only give him reps with the scout team. You know what I'm saying? And then when you throw him out there in the game, you have media pundits out there that are going to try their best to tear this kid down and make him look bad. Here's the problem. When your coach don't even want to name you the backup, when your coach doesn't want to give you reps with the ones, when your coach doesn't have any idea that you really want to go out there, play hard, and try to win, when your coach can't see that the city loves you, when your coach can't see that the team loves you, when your coach cannot even see that you deserve a fair shot at things, that's messed up. So what would you expect from the kid? He's going to go out there. He has no rapport built with any of the receivers. He has no rapport built with the offensive line, no rapport built with the center, no rapport built with the running back. So you're just basically putting him on the field saying, figure it out. And then you're going to have people that will go out there and swear up and down that Shedeur Sanders is trash and he's this, he's that, all of this stuff. And it's not fair to the kid. You didn't give him a fighting chance. And it's just, that just tells me Kevin Stefanski really has it out for him and he doesn't like him. Now, I can tell you right now, most likely he will be the starter for this coming week, just due to the fact that Dillon Gabriel is in concussion protocol. And things will go from there. But I would expect him to be a lot better than 4 of 16 for 47 yards and an interception this coming week when he does play. So different things happen, but for me personally, I think that Kevin Stefanski has it out for Shedeur Sanders. He does not like him. He doesn't want to put him out there. He couldn't even commit to the kid as a backup quarterback. There was just a lot going on there. Now we got this next game, Chiefs versus the Broncos. Another divisional battle, 22-19. Broncos get the win. Broncos didn't score in the second quarter, but the Chiefs scored in every quarter. You know what I mean? Broncos are 9-2, sitting high atop the AFC West, not having any issues. Nobody is coming for them. The closest team to them right now would be the LA Chargers. The Kansas City Chiefs are currently in third place in the AFC West. When's the last time you said that? Kansas City is in third place and in danger of missing the playoffs. We got 10 games in. We got 7 games left. So it's crazy. And right now, their record away is 1-4. So if they leave Kansas City, they just can't play. That's not good. Patrick Mahomes, very pedestrian numbers. 276 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. Bo Nix, 24-37, 295 yards. He was sacked twice. No TDs, no interceptions for him. 13 carries, 59 yards. You know what I mean? So, once again, another lopsided game plan that backfired on you. 45 times you threw the ball versus 14 times you ran it. Denver's got a pretty stout defense. I would have tried to balance that out a little bit better. Denver, a little bit more balanced, 38 passes to 21 rushes. Not very much yardage from either team, 62 and 59. That's very, very normal, very, very pedestrian numbers. The passing yards, though, you had a couple of guys here and there. The only person that caught a touchdown in this game was Travis Kelce for the Chiefs. As far as receiving, you come over, you take a look at the numbers. Those 2 sacks that were generated from the Chiefs came from Chris Jones and one from Jamari Connor. Then when you come over and take a look at the Denver team, they had 3 sacks. So you had 2 from Jaquan McMillan and 1 from DJ Jones. Shout out to DJ Jones. That's my big dog. I love him to death. DJ is an awesome dude, man. We got our little low-key doppelganger to an extent, DJ Jones. For CJ West, he looked a little bit like him too. But when you take a look at it, 4 TFLs, 4 passes defense, interception from Jaquan McMillan. You know what I mean? This thing's working out fairly well for them. For the kicking, Harrison Butker, he did everything. He did miss an extra point, but that extra point wouldn't have made a difference. Will Lutz, he was 100%. So this was definitely a beautiful AFC West battle. Very hard-fought game, only won by 3 points. But, hey, at the end of the day, the Chiefs are in third place in the AFC West, and the Broncos are top in the division. That's crazy. I mean, I get you, Crazy Juice. I don't expect for much, many quarterbacks to have success in Cleveland either. It's definitely a little bit rough over there, man. They don't put good. They wasted Joe Thomas's career. Like they don't do good things, and it's very unfortunate. Now this one was a NFC East versus NFC North battle. It was 16-9 for the Lions versus the Eagles. This game pissed me off because I had Dallas Goedert and I had AJ Brown, and neither one of them did a damn thing. When I say a damn thing, I mean nothing. I had them starting in my fantasy league, man. It was a waste of time. So AJ Brown, 7 catches, 49 yards. Dallas Goedert 2 for 24. It was pathetic. This was a defensive battle because the score is 16-9. The Eagles get the dub there. They move to 8-2 and stay atop the NFC. And then the Detroit Lions move to 6-4. And they are second in the AFC North. So 14, that's crazy. Both quarterbacks completed 14 passes. Jared Goff had 255 yards, while Jalen Hurts only had 135. Saquon Barkley, 26 carries, 83 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries for 39 yards. You usually don't hear those types of outputs from Jahmyr Gibbs, usually a lot more. But then you come in, you take a look at it. Like I said, for the receiving, A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert didn't do much anything for me. Jameson Williams caught the only touchdown for the Lions. And then you have you come over to the defensive side of things, and you'll see that there were a couple of fumbles in the game. Looks like there was 2 fumbles, but nothing was lost from the Philadelphia Eagles. So then you look at the defense, and as far as the sacks, you had 1 from Jaden Phillips, 1 from Nakobe Dean. You had 3 TFLs, 10 passes defense for the Eagles. And then for the Lions, you had one sack, and that was between Aiden Hutchinson and Roy Lopez. 4 tackles for a loss, 3 passes defense. Of course, Cooper DeJean had the interception. And then you come in, you take a look at it. When it comes to the kicking, Jake Elliott was money, and Jake Bates missed his extra point. Wouldn't have made a difference. That would have just added, a little bit less of a blow. Would have made it a 6-point win versus a 7-point win. And then we come to Monday Night Football, and we have the Cowboys and the Raiders. Cowboys and the Raiders played on Monday Night Football. Cowboys get the dub. Give me just a second. Sorry. Cowboys get the dub at the moment, and they currently have they won 25-33. 268 yards passing, 4 TDs, no interceptions from Dak Prescott, balled out. Javonte Williams, 22 carries, 93 yards. I mean, that's how you do it. You got balanced attack, run and pass, 33 passes, 31 rushes. That makes sense. And then, of course, with Dak having four TDs, no interceptions, you can't be mad at that. He was sacked once, but who cares? 9 catches, 144 yards in the tutty for George Pickens. CeeDee Lamb, 5 catches, 66 yards in the tutty. Jake Ferguson, 4 for 16 with a tutty. And then Ryan Flournoy, he had just that 1 catch, and he had that touchdown. And you come over, you look at the Raiders. Geno Smith, 27-42, 238 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. The man was sacked 4 times just because the Raiders have a porous offensive line. And then on top of that, Geno Smith led them in rushing, but they only mustered 27 yards. They ran the ball 12 times and threw it 42. Once again, this is what happens. You can't keep doing this to your team where you don't balance the game plan out enough where at least it's somewhat even to an extent. Yes, you may go a little heavy on run or pass, but you don't want to go that lopsided. 12 passes to 42. They literally tripled the amount of rushes from the passing. That's horrible. You didn't balance the game out. You have Ashton Genty. That man had 6 carries for 7 damn yards. You know what that tells me? Vegas, draft offensive lineman. You need to be able to keep your quarterback upright. 7 for 72 for Brock Bowers, tight end. Trey Tucker, 4 catches, 47 yards, and then 1 tutty. Everybody else, very pedestrian numbers. Tyler Lockett, 3 for 33. But then when you take a look at the defense, the 1 sack for the Raiders came from Max Crosby, a usual suspect. And then for the Dallas Cowboys, the 4 sacks came from Quinnen Williams, James Houston, Kenny Clark, Osa. I'm just going to say Osa because I don't know how to say his last name. But that's basically what it was. The defense worked. Everything was moving well. 8 TFLs, 8 passes defense for the Cowboys. 2 TFLs, 3 passes defense for the Raiders. Just not good defense. The Raiders scored in every quarter except for the third, scoring points. They were just doing what they could. As far as the kicking goes for the Raiders, 100%, and then for Dallas, 100%. And that is the final game of the week. You know what I'm saying? This definitely was a beatdown of sorts, just based off the fact of the score. You can take a look at it and see it for yourself. I mean, it's very unfortunate, man, because you look at the Raiders and you want to give them a shot. You really do. You want to give the Raiders a chance. You want them to have that opportunity to be able to go out there and do something to make something of themselves. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of Raider fans. I see a lot of Raider fans. Me being a Niner fan, I run into Raider fans all the time because we both used to be in the Bay. But at the end of the day, man, it's a frustrating situation because with the Raiders, they just find ways to lose. They're just not good. And it's very, very unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? But that was the recap of week 11. And I'll just as that goes with the teams now, with week 11 being in the books, because that's definitely exactly what we got. So we'll take a look at the standings, and this is just going to tell you what's really what. New England Patriots 9-3. The New England Patriots are atop the AFC East at 9-2. Buffalo Bills are there at 7-3. Dolphins are 4-7. Jets are 2-8. For the AFC North, Pittsburgh Steelers 1 game up on the Baltimore Ravens. They're 6-4. Ravens are 5-5. And they are on a win streak. They are trying to come back, man. Ever since Lamar been back, things have been all right. The minute Lamar went down, things went haywire. Cincinnati Bengals 3-7. The Browns are 2-8. The Indianapolis Colts are leading the AFC South at 8-2. Jacksonville Jaguars right behind them, 6-4. Houston right behind them at 5-5, and Tennessee Titans are unfortunately 1-9. AFC West is led by the Denver Broncos at 9-2. Los Angeles Chargers are 7-4. Kansas City is 5-2 for the Philadelphia Eagles, 4-5 for the Dallas Cowboys, 3-8 for the Commanders, and 2-9 for the Giants. NFC North, like I said, it's a very long time since I've said this, but the Chicago Bears are leading 7-3. Green Bay Packers 6-3. 6-3-1, should I say. Detroit Lions 6-4. Minnesota Vikings 4-6. So it's a very tight race in the NFC North. It's a very tight race. The Minnesota Vikings are not out of it at all. You know, they just got to get better and got to start winning some games. NFC South, the battle is between the Panthers and the Bucks. And we didn't think the Panthers and the Bucks were going to. We didn't think the Panthers were going to be the ones battling for supremacy in the NFC South. Atlanta Falcons 3-7. The New Orleans Saints 2-8. Just horrible. NFC West, another tight division. 1 game separates everybody, but right now the Rams are at 8-2. Seahawks are 7. Jets. And I say that because they have 3 wins or less. And those are the bad teams in the league. So right now, when you take a look at it, if you look at the playoff, if you just want to take a look at the playoffs and see if there's anything there, you can take a look at it right now. Everybody that is in would be for the AFC would be Denver, New England, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, LA Chargers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those are the 7 teams right now that they win a tie. Oh, it says they win the tie over Kansas City based on best win percentage and in-conference games. Wins tie break over Baltimore based on head-to-head sweep. So that tells you exactly what's going on. So you got the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs on the outside looking in for the playoffs. Everybody else that's on the bottom you expect. But those two teams you usually expect them to be up in the top. So then you take a look at it, 8-2 for the Rams and the Eagles, but the Eagles get it because it's basically a head-to-head win percentage, I guess. And then you come in, you take a look. The Bears are number 3, Tampa Bay is number 4, Seattle's 5, Green Bay is 6, and the 49ers are slotted in at 7. But we've got a couple of teams on our ass with the Detroit Lions and the Carolina Panthers. So we've got to stay vigilant to be able to beat them and continue to keep our, you know what I'm saying? We got to show the Panthers they ain't nothing but some little kitty cats. They ain't actual Panthers yet. And like I said, the Detroit Lions are still right there. They're still fighting with the Bears for the NFC South supremacy. They're only one game away. And then everybody else, once again, as I stated, if you see on the bottom, they're there. We kind of anticipated the Giants, the Saints, the Commanders, the Falcons, you know what I'm saying, the Cardinals. Minnesota and Dallas, still on the outside looking in. Remember, there's still 7 games left in the season, so everybody has to lock in and do their thing. I do appreciate everybody for tuning in and hanging out with your boy. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Probably going to get some shorts done real quick before I get in and get to work. But thank y'all for tuning in and hanging out with me. Thank y'all for staying up, staying faithful, staying blessed. Continue to be great. If you heard about your team or you got comments, you want to see more, definitely let me know how you feel in the comments. And then, for everybody that's watching me on Twitter, I appreciate all of y'all. Definitely go to the link in my bio. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. Keep the numbers running up. Once again, 600 is here. I got it. I'm there. And I just want to keep climbing up more and more. This is a passion of mine. I love doing this. I love talking football. And I appreciate any and everyone who tunes in and hangs out with your boy during these times. Thank y'all so much. Stay up, stay faithful, stay blessed, and have yourselves a wonderful day.